Are they hooked up to this device?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not only they're only hooked up. We can do the analysis remotely, or we can hook them up. In the first part of it, yes, we touch a couple, basically 2 or 3 points on the body. It's a small hookup because we can modulate the whole body. We don't have to go meridian by meridian by meridian like the old healing machines you see at these health fairs. We don't do that. That's obsolete. We can modulate the entire body. Okay, then we look at, now we inject the cellular, the next box is another box, like, next to this one, it's like a block diagram. And by the way, we also, on the analysis, we use a spectrum analyzer. It's one we've developed ourselves. Okay, then it goes from the cellular frequencies now treated with Rife, the Rife frequencies. And then this section, the body now makes a change, okay? And when the body makes a change, it goes into a gigahertz frequency generator, a millimeter wave like the bad guys use, but we have the right frequencies to make good things happen. Now, at this point, a person puts on a pair of 3D glasses, holographic glasses.
Why?
So they can see that we're at the same time we're scanning, we're using a thermal scan on the body. So what we're going to do is allow the person to actually witness the changes in their body in 3 dimensions, in 3D, in glasses. You follow me?
So they're watching their own results.
They're watching their own result. And we can, let's say we're going into a fractured bone in the arm. Okay, they're going to see that. And the thermal scan produces a very good image, and so they can actually see it. And then the final treatment is what we call SPDC. And we have another generator. This is it looks something like that projector that you had, but it's got 3 lasers. It's got crystals in it, and it produces what's called spontaneous parametric down conversion. And what happens is these beams split incoming photons into pairs. Let's say you got a certain energy, you got energy 10. The beam comes in and gives you 2 energy 5s. One energy 5 stays in the unit, and the other goes out to the target.
Now, is this diagnostic or is this for healing?
Both. It's both. The diagnosis is done. This is now healing, okay?
All right.
So the SPDC goes out, and once it goes out, it's transmitted directly into the person who's watching the change in their body if they happen to be into the room. But because of things that have been developed in the photographic world, we can also transmit this through a pretty well-done digital photograph, believe it or not.
Do you actually think the FDA is going to let you use this?
We don't make any, what I think is this. The side technology that we've developed is incredible. I've been out here for 2 years working on this. I'm not going to make any medical claims. The FDA, they recently gave me a patent on the projector. I think it was after our last show. That projector that we make?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to call that. I sent that in. It was on March. It was March last year because I did the show in February. I got a call from my attorney. He says, look, the FDA, the patent office will grant you a patent on your projector, but they won't call it a projector. And I says, what do you mean? I want to call it a projector. He says, the only way you're going to get a patent is they have a name for it. And I said, well, what's the name? And the patent office, this was given to me. I can give you the patent number if you want. It was given to you on March 16th, light display device.
They gave you the name.
I swear to God. I can go get the patent. It's hanging on a wall in there. Yep, I can give you the patent number. You can look it up. Light display device, because the lady that was using the device had the drawings, had an experience. At the same time, earlier the FDA had contacted me on the receptors that we make, and they said, look, we use these back here in Washington. We want you to go out and get a medical study, and we'll grant you, you can make a claim. So I said, okay. So I went over to the University of California at Irvine, and I hooked up with the endocrinology lab, because that's where you have to work, because we're working with hormones a lot, because that's consciousness. And they've agreed to do the test, but I haven't really done the test yet because I haven't had the time. And I have had Italian disease, my funds are low because I've been funding all these other programs, but the FDA is in the wings.
Well, you should, because let me tell you, you know what they did to the Rife machine and things like that. So.
Yeah, and the bottom line is I don't present this device as anything other than what it is, and I'm going to make no claims. I've got marketing people that are interested, but I'm going low and slow on it. And I've got one of the guys that's working on it works for the government. He's way up in there, and so I'm kind of let the government kind of play with it a little bit too as you go along. In other words, they're good. There's a friendly side to our government, and I've been connected to it most of my life. So that kind of has to go along with. You don't want to piss people off, you know, and especially there, and I don't. So I go low and slow, make no claims, and I just give demonstrations. That's all we do. And people come out here, and they'll visit us, and they'll come and look.
All right, let's take some calls here, Fred.
Okay.
Let's go to James in Rusk, Texas. You're up with us to get us started. Hi, James.
Hello. Say, have you ever heard of cymatics?
Cymatics. I have not. How about you, Fred?
No, I haven't.
Dr. Peter Guy Manners, who's now deceased from England, he was knighted for his work. He went over into Nazi Germany at the end of World War II, and the Germans were studying frequencies of all the tissues and organs in the body.
Right.
And he got these folks to give him the information. He went back to England and built something he called cymatics. There's a device that...
Spell that for me.
Cymatics.
Okay.
There's a lady in Atlanta, Georgia, that bought the system worldwide. She calls it cymotherapy. They have a different device than Dr. Manners used. I have the original device that he used. There are several hundred different frequencies for different tissues, organs, and so forth that I feel work. I can't say that that they heal or anything because I'm not a doctor. But I've used it on myself and my family, and I get some pretty interesting results.
What's the principle of it?
Well,
Does it work on sound? What?
there are different ways to deliver it. I can run it through a cold laser or through a sonic device or LEDs or just there's several different modalities to deliver it with.
Well, I've heard, Fred, that LEDs work a lot and work well. You've heard that?
Yeah, well, we use LEDs, yeah, but we don't use that for the final delivery system. We use it for the different nanometer wavelengths to stimulate tissue in the earlier stages of the healing process. But we've gone beyond LEDs with the SPDC. But before that, we used a lot of LEDs. You know, then we got into ultraviolet lasers, the new solid state lasers. We got really into that, which we are using now. Yeah.
Next up, let's go to Dee in Woodland Hills, California. Hey, Dee, welcome.
Hi, George. Thank you for having me talk this evening.
Sure.
I went through a difficult period around 15 years ago with a corporation, and I went through a lot of this abuse that I'd listened to John before when he was on your line describing. Sound that would be continuous 24 hours a day in the apartment. If I left and went to a hotel room or spent time at a friend's home while they were on vacation, wherever I went, within about a half hour, the sound would occur again in that place where I was at.
God, did you think you were going nuts?
No, because the sound, when I was able to go outside my apartment and I was outside, I didn't hear the sound. When I came back in, and when I went into the new location, say a hotel, it was fine for the first 20 minutes, half hour, and then it would start again. And I also experienced, one night I was sleeping, and I woke up with a burning sensation all over my body from the toes to my neck. And luckily it wasn't my head, but it was the complete body except for the head. It was so burning.
Well, what were they doing? Why were they going after you?
There had been a legal dispute, and it ended up in court, and I was pursuing it, and I didn't let go.
So, and they decided they didn't want to let go?
They did. They wanted me gone, but I don't know why they did it.
How did it stop?
Don't. It didn't stop that easy. It went about 3 months. And I heard the sound pretty much 24 hours a day for about 3 months, except for when I was outside. The burning sensation was so bad that night that I put my clothes on, and I left the house and spent the night out.
How many stories are like this, Fred, that are out there?
That's what you call a near-infrared heat signature. It's like a microwave. I have a lot of stories like that, but she's getting the heat. Sometimes they get the voices. Did you get the voices, or just the heat, or both, or one or the other at different times?
I don't know where she is. She hung up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and that's done by some what I call close and personal stuff. There could be a briefcase device delivering this thing. It's just delivering an infrared beam is what it's doing, and I'm familiar with it. You know, different companies and that make this stuff.
Let's go to Huntington Beach, California, west of the Rockies. Hey, Jim, go ahead.
Hi, Fred. Yeah, you might have worked with my father in a lot of that. I mean, he worked at all the same places that you worked at, developing automation at Autonatics, and he worked at Rockwell International for 44 years, and the Seal Beach facility on the global positioning satellite system.
Oh, yeah. It was McDonnell Douglas.
Space shuttle and all that. I was in the aerospace industry for a while. Working as a management systems analyst on the Stealth B-2 bomber, but I got into clinical psychotherapy, so I'm kind of doing what you're doing right now. My interest is in the healing part of it that you're talking about. I'm wondering whether or not you're familiar with Dr. Ernest Rossi's work and Dr. Candace Pert's work, where basically she's saying that all of these pains that people get in the body, a lot of it is caused by trauma in the past, so that her contention is that the body is the subconscious mind in which we store all these hurts and pains, and that we could actually use our minds to focus on those specific hurts and pains and aches and everything to heal it. And this is part of the psychobiology of mind-body healing that Dr. Ernest Rossi is working on, that came from the work of Dr. Milton Erickson.
How long does the body store this pain?
It could store it forever, and it can intensify over time. When it's not resolved, see what happens, according to her work, and she's a...
Hold on for a second. We'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM.